Welcome back to a special edition of the OSP. I'm joined now by the voice of the NBA. More importantly, he's my friend, but you know this guy doing the NBA Finals for years. Does a terrific job. Also does New York Knicks games as well. It is the great Mike Breen. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm great, Sid, but I've told you before, I'm not the voice of the NBA. There are a lot of voices of the NBA.
I know, but when I have Marv Albert on, I call him the voice of the NBA. Then when you come on, I call you the voice of the NBA. Then when I have Ian on, I call him the voice of the NBA. And the same thing with Gus Johnson. So it's true, but when you're on with me for that specific 7 minutes, you are the voice of the NBA.
As long as you cover your bases, that's all that matters.
Hasn't it always been that way, Mike?
Yes, I guess it has.
Oh, God, I know you've got the Phoenix, San Antonio coming up tonight. 3 games in the NBA last night. The Celtics raised the banner and do a nice job in the second half to beat Cleveland. The Bulls got a win with Derrick Rose, and the Lakers look very impressive in blowing out Portland. But the rest of the teams getting going tonight. Let's talk about the Knickerbockers, Mike. You do their games as well. What exactly happened last week with Isiah Thomas? Seems to be a big mystery coming out of New York.
You know, Sid, I just don't know. I know what I've read in the papers, and that obviously, you know, the paramedics had to be called. Somebody had to be brought. He's saying one thing. The Harrison Police Department saying another thing. So we got to wait until he comes out and tells everybody, I guess, what the deal was. But all I know is what I've read in the paper, same as you. You
know what's odd, Mike, and you were around Isiah every day for a bunch of years up at the Garden, is he just seemed like Teflon Isiah, like nothing really bothered him. And then I was reading a couple of days ago that the Fire Isiah chants, they did get to Isiah, and he was very upset that everybody from the dishwasher to the assistant coaches to everybody was inside this latest Knick media guide, and he was nowhere to be found. So we've come to find the last couple of days that Isiah was, in fact, very sensitive about all the New York bashing.
Hey, there's no question when you go through that as an athlete, as a coach, or anybody in the public eye, that takes its toll on you. Now, you know, outwardly, publicly, he's able to show that he's mentally tough. That's what made him a great player. But anybody who thinks that what he went through didn't bother him, that's just being naive. That bothers anybody. Even the most mentally tough person in the world would have a difficult time. So, you know, for a lot of people who say they can handle it, yeah, they can handle it in many ways better than others. But at the same time, it's still got to get to you.
I agree with you. Now let's talk about this Knicks team. They've got the Miami Heat later on tonight. They start the season. What can Knicks fans expect? Pretty much the same roster as last year. Now it's Donnie Walsh and Mike D'Antoni. What could they expect on the court?
They're going to expect a team that's going to play much more up-tempo system. Mike D'Antoni's not the exact same system, but a lot of the same principles in terms of pushing the ball. You get the rebound, throw it up the floor, first open shot, take it. It's not a slow-down, half-court, low-post type system that they did a lot with Eddie Curry and Zach Randolph. This is the same as the high-scoring Phoenix Suns, and at times we've seen some good parts of it in the preseason, and at times it's been shaky. It's a work in progress, but they're definitely going to be more exciting. I think because they only won 23 games, there's going to be a lot more wins. But I just don't know yet, Sid, in terms of how it's going to play out in the regular season. They're definitely playing with a little more confidence, a little more spirit. I mean, it was a bad atmosphere the past couple of years, but I don't know yet how that's going to translate into wins or how many more wins it's going to translate into.
Well, tell me about the Eastern Conference here. Don't move to the West and let you run. The Celtics are defending champs. They looked terrific last night. Cleveland adds Mo Williams. They needed him. The 76ers were a good basketball team late last year. They add Elton Brand. The Pistons are going to be tough. But is there a team that I've just mentioned or another team out there that catches your eye inside that Eastern Conference?
Well, I think Orlando and Toronto are both going to be very good. Orlando's a year better in terms of experience playing together and dealing with the playoffs. Toronto obviously has Jermaine O'Neal, so if he stays healthy, it's going to be better. But the only 3 teams that I think have a real shot of making it to the finals out of the East are the teams you mentioned, and I wouldn't put Philadelphia in there. They're good, but they're not ready for that. Boston, obviously, Cleveland, and Detroit, I think can all still, if things go their way, they stay healthy, can all make it to the finals.
Now, tonight you've got Phoenix, San Antonio. Could very well be, Mike, a preview of the Western Conference Finals, a lot depending upon whether or not Shaquille O'Neal regained some of the form he had years ago before Miami dealt him to Phoenix last year. What do you think Suns fans feel about that? Do you think the Phoenix organization and Steve Kerr feels like Shaq's got something left in the tank?
Oh, absolutely. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made the deal. And you got to remember, Sid, he doesn't have to be the guy. In fact, he doesn't have to be the second guy. He's the third guy. You've got Nash and Stoudemire, and then O'Neal is your third wheel. So he doesn't have to play the same type of role. But to me, they're the most intriguing team in the league going in because they've dramatically changed a style that was so successful. And obviously they didn't win a championship, but they've been one of the best, most entertaining teams. Now they're going to change their style with basically the same players with the exception of Shaq. And I'm intrigued. I don't know if they're going to be better and have a chance to win a championship, or I don't know if they're going to take a step back, and it's going to start tonight. But to me, they're an intriguing team with Terry Porter as the coach.
All right, tomorrow we'll let you run here again, talking to Mike Breen. Hey, Mike, what about this? The Lakers, of course, looked great last night. What about Houston? Lots of people impressed with this team. Obviously, we know about the injury problems to Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady. But if, and it's a huge if those two guys stay healthy with Rafer Alston, Shane Battier, and Ron Artest, the Rockets could be a dominant club this year.
Yeah, they can be, if those three guys all stay healthy, and obviously if Artest remains and just plays basketball, they can win a championship because they have great support players too. You have your Shane Battiers, you have your Luis Scolas, a lot of those type of guys that really, like Boston did last year with the Posies and the Eddie Houses and those, they have the same type of good core players around their star players. So, and I think Rick Adelman's a very underrated coach. So I think if they have a chance along with New Orleans, along with the Lakers, and I still think San Antonio has a chance to win a championship.
New Orleans intrigues me, too, because you mentioned the name of James Posey. Won a championship with the Miami Heat a couple of years ago, won a championship with the Boston Celtics last year. Now you add his veteran presence, his three-point shooting, his defense to Chris Paul, Byron Scott, and that club, and they may have gotten a lot better here during the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great young team led by one of the best young players to come into this league in a long time. But now there's a lot expected of them. They snuck up on everybody last year. Now they play with expectations. Now they play with, hey, if we don't make it to the conference finals or even the finals, that's not a good season. And that kind of pressure is so much different, especially on a young team. Posey is a great pickup for them. They're still really good. And like I said, Paul's one of the special kids to come into the league. So I think they're going to be right there.
Mike, I can't thank you enough for coming on here for a couple of minutes on this show today. You know I love you. NBA season underway, and very excited to talk to you and watch some NBA basketball. Thank you so much, buddy.
Anytime, Sid, my friend.
All right. Have fun in Phoenix, San Antonio tonight.
Okay.
There he is, the great Mike Breen. And this interrogation is over, and so is the show. But make sure you tune in to opensports.com every day, where the future of sports on the web is open.
So you think you can tackle a pro? There's only one way to find out. Click on fantasy at opensports.com.